Hey, good afternoon. It's John again. I'm going to play some Immaculate Grid. Had a decent game yesterday. Troy Gloss took almost all of my points yesterday. It turns out there were much better options for Silver Slugger for the Angels, but including a lot of good ones from the early 1980s, right at the beginning of the Silver Slugger period. But I didn't know those, so I went Troy Gloss, who was winning Silver Sluggers at third base when I was coming of age as a baseball fan. In any event, let's start sharing. Let's start playing. No need for an extended preamble. Loving these newer categories, but it's fun to have an old classic once in a while, even if it's one that I struggle at. Hit and refresh. Away we go. All right, so we've got A's, Royals, 200 hits in a season. And along the side here, we've got Mariners, Rangers, and Blue Jays. So 200 hits in a season on Blue Jays, I think is a pretty rare occurrence. We'll have to tread carefully. Rangers is going to be tough, actually. That's the one I'm thinking I'm on. My gut is Michael Young is going to dominate that. Um, I want to say for some reason it's sticking out in my head that Pudge Rodriguez 1 year had 199 hits in a season with the Rangers, which is a ton for a catcher. Most catchers don't have the durability of Pudge Rodriguez. Um, I okay, I know someone I'm gonna go with for Texas. Actually, I've got three people who I think had almost the same number of hits in the 1991 season, and they are Ruben Sierra, Julio Franco, and Rafael Palmeiro. I'm trying to think which of those would be the most obscure. I think for 200 hits for the Mariners, I'm going to go with Brett Boone. This is his 2001 season. Takes 8%. Um, him, Ichiro, A-Rod. That's all I've really got in my head for the Mariners. I don't think Edgar Martinez got to 200 hits. I don't think Griffey got to 200 hits. In Martinez's case, I mean, he drew a ton of walks, so a lot less likely to get there. Um, Griffey maybe like 1993 Griffey, circa then was hitting in the 320s, so maybe that gets you to 200 hits. It's just like when you bat third or fourth, you don't get quite as many plate appearances, you don't get quite as many hits. He was obviously very much feared in that lineup as he deserved to be. So yeah, I don't think Griffey got 200 hits actually. I'm trying to think of those three people I just listed, who to go with. I think I'm gonna go with Julio Franco. What what about Al Oliver? Al Oliver is another person I think might have gotten there. But I'm gonna go with Franco. Takes 4%. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Be interesting to see how Palmero and Sierra do. I think Michael Young, I could see taking over 75% because not just did he get to 200 hits, he got to 200 hits like 5 or 6 seasons in a row. He was a hit machine, and he was hitting for part of that period at the very beginning there. He was hitting right in front of A-Rod and then later Mark Teixeira, so he had a lot of lineup protection. For the Blue Jays, I think your options here are Paul Molitor. This has come up before, and I selected John Olerud. And my thinking here for John Olerud was the man was drew a lot of walks, um, and hit over 360 that 1 year. So my thinking was people wouldn't remember him as getting to 200 hits because people who walk as much as John Oler don't typically get to 200 hits. But when you hit 360 in a year, it doesn't take much. Um, and he had exactly 200 hits, I recall. It was like 200, 201, but a lot of people got that. I think a lot of people got Molitor. Roberto Alomar doesn't quite make the list. But someone who does, a couple people who do make the list is longtime Blue Jay Tony Fernandez. I want to say in either the 86 or 87 season, he makes it. And then I am going to go with Shannon Stewart, who had over 200 hits hitting. He hit leadoff, he had over 300. Shannon Stewart was a guy that um, was tailor made if you had a good BABIP type season to get to 200 hits, and he did so. I think in 01. He takes 4%. I think I hit everybody who did it though. Unless someone's, I guess Whit Merrifield plays for the Blue Jays. Wouldn't shock me if he got 200 hits this past year. I just don't think so. Same with Bo Bichette. Both those guys get a lot of hits. I just don't know if they've gotten to 200 yet. All right. So now we are going to start matching up some teams. Let's see here. Rich Gossage will work for both of these, or Goose Gossage. Also, I've used Todd Stottlemyre here before, and it's worked pretty well. Josh Donaldson, I think, will be a very popular one. Eric Hinsky, I think, works. Or if he doesn't, he was traded from the A's to the Blue Jays for Billy Koch, who would work as well. Actually, very easy way to find out. Eric Hinsky does not work because 02 was that rookie year. That was the Moneyball year, and the A's traded away Eric Hinsky, who in retrospect might have been a cost-efficient option for first base instead of Scott Hadberg, but they also needed a closer because Ringhausen had left. That's not mentioned in the movie, I don't think. Let's go Todd Stottlemyre. That was a long preamble to arrive at Todd Stottlemyre. 0.3, pretty good. And Kevin Mitchell works here as well. And these are two of his teams that aren't frequent. So maybe we go there. Let's see if Kevin Mitchell's catching on yet. 0.3. That means catching on, I think, because he did not play for these teams for very long. And then A's and Rangers. Yeah, I mentioned Billy Martin was manager of both teams. That doesn't really matter for this game. Of course, you have to start with the 60s, but I'm not sure of any Senators who went over to Oakland. This is the second iteration of the Senators, not the Minnesota Twins version. Gossage definitely works. Let's try him out. Oh, you know who'll work? A couple people is Harold Baines and Ruben Sierra. I'm not going to go with Sierra because he's a longtime Ranger. Harold Baines is known for being a Ranger because he was traded. That's the first team he was traded from the Red Sox, or excuse me, the White Sox from. Of Gossage, I mean, he played a little bit with both teams. Let's try out Harold Baines. I'm just curious how Harold Baines does with teams that aren't the White Sox or Orioles, because he had I wrote about this in my book. He had 3 stints with with both the Orioles and the White Sox. But I don't think he's as well known with these teams. So let's try him out. Okay, still sub 1. Let's see. I think Bruce Chen would work here. Thinking maybe Tartable will work here. Might be pretty popular. Raul Bianas will work. David Cohn works down here. Matt Stairs will work as well. Dean Palmer works for Royals and Rangers. Might work a little while. I mean, he had over 30 home runs with both teams. So he might work a little too well. Let's see. I think I'm right about Bruce Chen playing with both these teams. And then yeah, who are some other? Let's see how Bruce Chen does. Hope I'm right. He goes sub 1. All right. Let's see. Whit Merrifield's obviously going to be very popular for Royals and Blue Jays. Trying to think if there's. Trying to think if there's someone better. I mentioned David Cohn. I think Matt Stairs will be better. I mean, David Cohn won Um, he won a World Series with Toronto. He was then subsequently traded from Toronto to the Yankees. So a lot of Yankee fans will remember him, being acquired from there. And they won a Cy Young in between with Kansas City. And I believe he actually um did he come back to Kansas City at some point? Or he start for a season with Kansas City before going to the Mets? Something like that. I'm blanking on the exact details. Let's see, Jose Guillen, he's been a standby for teams like the Royals lately, but will not work for the Mariners. Um, there's no sneaking Joe. Oh, you know who will work is Mike Sweeney. Mike Sweeney played for the Mariners briefly. I think that'll actually be a little popular. Him and Bianas, I think, will be fairly well known for jumping ship. Um, Not jumping ship. I mean, in Biana's cases, I think he started and then came back to the Mariners with the Royals in between. Thinking. Don't think Mike Morgan ever played for either of these two teams. He's a fun one because he played for 25 years. No Ricky Henderson. Vince Coleman, I think will work. Let's try out Vince Coleman here. Takes 1%. Obviously better known with the other Missouri team, but he's seen, I've mentioned this on the show before, but he's seen leaping into Griffey's arms after Griffey scores the winning run of the 95 ALDS. Coleman is in there, and you're just like, that's Vince Coleman. He's the guy who's better known for racing around the bases like that. Um, all right, so now we're down to Blue Jays and Royals. Trying to come up with someone better than Matt Stairs. Matt Stairs just gets an automatic couple percent every time. I think he'll be better than David Cone. I think anybody's better than Whit Merrifield. He's going to be north of 50%. Um, Hopping around the horn a little bit. I don't think Willie Wilson doesn't really hop around at all. Let's see. Did Kelly Gruber, or Ed Sprague, or any of these people ever pop around? I don't think they did. Tony Fernandez never makes his way to the Royals. All roads are kind of just leading me to select Matt Stairs. And there's gotta be a reliever that I'm not thinking of. Um, Phil Niekro, no, Phil Niekro never played for the Royals. There's got to be a better option here. Stairs is gonna take like 4%, but I'm kind of racking my brain on this one. Takes 3%. Okay, so yeah, I mean I took 16% on the 200 hit category. There were only three options for the Mariners, which were Boone, Ichiro, and A-Rod. For the Blue Jays, there were five. Did I hit them all? I mentioned Tony Fernandez, John Olerud, Paul Molitor, and Shannon Stewart. Which kind of sounds like I missed somebody. So, Vernon Wells. Okay, Vernon Wells got 200 hits in that 03 season. I remember that. Yeah, I mean he's hitting in front of Carlos Delgado, I think. So that helps kind of explain the relatively low number of walks. Hits 317. That'll get you there. And let's check out Texas. Let's see who I didn't hit there. So Michael Young a bunch of times. I didn't realize A-Rod. I thought A-Rod was walking too much by then. A-Rod's 200 hit season with the Mariners was when his 96 season. He's hitting in front of Griffey. He's 20 years old, relative unknown. He hits 358. I did not realize he accumulated enough plate appearances to get to 200 hits in 2001. Al Oliver would have worked, Buddy Bell would have worked, and Mickey Rivers was going to work. So these three would have been. I did mention Oliver, but not with any kind of certainty. Be interesting to see how Mickey Rivers and Buddy Bell would do. I was not going to get those. All right then. Maybe I'll find a better real quick, let's find a better example here. I obviously was not going to pick Jose Batista. Let's see. John Mayberry would be an interesting one. Look at Nori Aoki, former Brewer. Octavio Dotel, Immaculate Grid superstar. Nelson Liriano. Santiago hits both teams. All right. Greg Zahn, Alex Rios. Alex Rios, I should have gotten. He was on the 2015 Kansas City Royals, and I actually wrote about one of his misadventures in my book. I'll just tell this quick story, and then because it's a preview for my book, and then I'll close on that. But in it was 2009. No, it was 2008. It was I think May of 2008. Brewers are playing the Blue Jays in interleague play in at Miller Park, then Miller Park. Prince Fielder, who isn't known as being a slender man or a quick man, rockets, a kind of a tailor-made double into the right field corner. It kind of sticks there under the padding. And Alex Rios goes out there and he's just like, nope, nope, ground rule double. I'm just like, dude, it's Prince Fielder running. You could just pick the ball up, shuffle it off, dust it off a little bit, check for the commissioner's signature, and then throw it in. He's just going to have a double. But he doesn't do that. He's just like insisting that the umpire call a ground rule double on this ball that's very reachable, as he proves like a few seconds later. He picks up the ball and just rockets it in. But by the time he does that, by the time he rockets the ball in, which he does with ease, he picks it up and throws it in pretty much one motion. Prince Fielder has already circled the bases, which made for Prince Fielder's second career inside the park home run. And I read about this in a chapter in my book. I kind of gave away the second half of it, but to read about the first one, you have to buy my book. So the link is in the description down below. Hope you like these videos. I'm going to keep putting them out. And thanks a lot for playing. Be at it tomorrow, and peace out.